Have you ever looked at Greek sculpture and thought, wow, this is great, but what if it was a cute anime girl instead? Then let me introduce you to Kid Icarus, a series with humble beginnings that died, was resurrected, and just as quickly fell into cardiac arrest. The series got its roots in the year 1986 when a man named Toru Osawa came to Nintendo with an idea. "Hey, I've got an idea," he said. "It's a game based on Greek mythology where you control an angel and you fight against the gods. You can jump like Mario, collect items like Link, and even shoot enemies like Samus." And Nintendo was like, "Alright, sounds good. Get on it then." "Well, aren't you gonna give me a team of staff to help out or no? No. Also, it's due by December." So Osawa worked all by himself, day and night in a Nintendo sweatshop until August rolled around and his bosses were like, "Hey, just checking in on that Kid Icarus game, just a reminder, it's due in like 3 months." "So, how's it coming along?" Yeah, it's getting there. These are just 2 pixels, jumping up and down. That's Pit. So, in order to reach the game's deadline, the developers behind the newly released Metroid game were relocated to help Osawa out. The team worked tirelessly to finish the game, often spending long nights in the office sleeping on cardboard boxes and wrapping themselves in curtains to stay warm in the unheated building. 3 days before the game's set release date, it was finally finished. In quotation marks. They had to cut like 5 or 6 levels and the game lacked any credits, but nonetheless, the Kid Icarus series was born. Our story takes place in the equivalent of ancient Greece, except the gods are all petty assholes who love starting wars every other day, and frequently FaceTime each other to hype up their beef. 2 goddesses in particular rule over Earth from a kingdom in the sky. Palutena, the goddess of light, and Medusa, the goddess of darkness. While Palutena would use her godly powers to bless the people of Earth, Medusa would often dry up their crops and turn the peel to stone. Eventually, Palutena got tired of her shit, turned her into an ugly Cyclops, and banished her to the underworld. Driven to reclaim her throne, Medusa gathered the underworld monsters under her command and launched a surprise attack on the palace. And because Palutena's army consists of a bunch of mass-produced swole boys with a combined IQ of 14 and one flightless angel who doesn't even know how to read, they get defeated pretty easily. Medusa took over the kingdom and Palutena was held captive deep in the palace. With the last of her godly powers, she sent a bow down to Pit, who's imprisoned at the bottom of the underworld. So Pit escapes his cell and makes his way through the underworld, fighting a bunch of monsters that aren't really important because the true enemy is actually Pit. Pits. They're everywhere, and you will fall on them every 2 seconds. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, there's these things called the 3 Sacred Treasures, a set of legendary items that could turn Pit from flightless bird to literal godslayer. When Medusa invaded the palace, she took them and hid them with their 3 strongest commanders, Twin Bellows, Hue Draw, and a Windows 98 wallpaper. Eventually, Pit defeats the 3, and using the Sacred Treasures, he flies his way back to the palace and confronts Medusa. After a long and intense battle, which can be avoided completely if you just stand directly in the middle of the screen, Medusa is defeated. Depending on your end score, Palutena will reward Pit in a variety of different ways, ranging from a simple farmer's hat to being turned into a literal man. Hey, what the fuck? 5 years later, a new Kid Icarus game was released for the Game Boy, but for some strange reason, only in North America and Europe. That's right, a game created in Japan with a very clearly Japanese-inspired art style that never actually released in Japan. For this reason, it's debatable if the game is canon to the series since it's never actually mentioned in future installments, so I'm just gonna skim through it. Palutena has a bad dream where she foresees the palace being invaded by demons, which means it's up to Pit to use the sacred treasures to save the land once more. However, Palutena, in her infinite wisdom, gave the sacred treasures away to the demon's 3 strongest generals because apparently Pit isn't strong enough to wield them yet, and she needed to test him, even though he was totally fine with using them last game with no prior training, so I don't know what's up with that. Once again, Pit fights 3 generals, obtains the sacred treasures, flies up to Skyworld, Palutena gets turned to stone, hey that's new, destroys the final boss, and the world is saved. Oh, and he flies too close to the sun and gets his wings burned off. Like I said, I don't think this game's actually canon. So after the release of that game, we now enter the Dead Zone, a period of 20 years where Pit was put on the shelf with the rest of the forgotten video game mascots. He showed up in a few crossovers, was in a TV show that I wish I could forget existed, and was even added as a playable character in Smash Bros. But with no signs of a series revival anytime soon, fans were left to assume that maybe Pit actually died after he got his wings burned off. Well, I mean, no one actually played that game, but if they did, that's probably what they would have assumed. That is, until the year 2012. Masahiro Sakurai was chilling in his penthouse playing Smash Bros. When he landed on one character in particular. Hey, isn't it weird that we have this angel boy in Smash that's never actually been in a video game? That's Pit, sir. He's from Kid Icarus on the NES. What? Are you serious? Hey, this is pretty good, but I can make it better. And so he did. Enter Kid Icarus Uprising for the 3DS. First off, I have to mention that this game's main appeal is its voice acting and humor, so me just explaining the plot really isn't gonna do the game justice. But fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyways. Medusa is back from the dead and is looking a lot slimmer, might I add. And it's up to Pit to stop her just like old times. Thankfully, this time around Palutena is using her godly powers to actually help out instead of just chilling in the palace watching Real Housewives. Most importantly, she can now grant Pit the power of flight, but only for 5 minutes at a time. And if Pit tries to exceed the time limit, then his wings will spontaneously combust and he'll be turned into a burnt chicken nugget. Using the power of flight, Pit travels across Skyworld, defeating all the reincarnated bosses from the first game. As he's finishing off Pandora, he has a mishap with a magical mirror and creates a clone of himself named
Dark Pit.
But everyone just calls him Patu. Patu manages to absorb the last of Pandora's powers, granting him unlimited usage of the power of flight. Then he... Wait, hold on. So you're telling me this random Furby has the power of unlimited flight, but a literal goddess can only do it for 5 minutes? Whatever. I'm trying to make sense of a game where the characters reference their own loading screen, just forget about it. So Pit chases down Patu, and he's all like, "Rats, you got me." Okay, bye now. And they just kind of let him get away. Back to the matter at hand, Pit defeats Medusa's last commander and obtains the key to the underworld. And since we're at the final boss, that means it's time to equip the 3 sacred treasures. Except Palutena gave them away. Again. So first, they have to track down some space pirates and get them back. After that's over with, Pit travels down to the underworld, defeats Medusa, and the world is saved. Credits play. Just kidding. Turns out that Hades, the true leader of the underworld, was the one who initially revived Medusa and was pulling the strings all along. He's also, like, the best character in the game. And that's saying something because this game's, like, full of great characters. Basically, Hades' whole MO is to entice the humans into killing each other, because every dead soul gets sent to the underworld and makes his army even larger. So he comes up with a plan to trick the humans into thinking that one of them stole the wish seed, a magical item that grants any wish to the person who owns it. The humans are all like, yeah, I mean, he is literally Hades, but I guess I'll believe him, and start going to war with each other to find the non-existent wish seed. All the death and destruction starts to piss off the goddess of nature, Vridi, so she starts dropping a bunch of nature nukes on the humans, which in turn makes Pit and Palutena pretty upset, so they start fighting with each other, and basically the whole world is at war with each other when suddenly aliens show up and everyone's like, fuck the aliens, so they team up to destroy the aliens and Pit gets turned into a ring. Okay, let's take it back a few chapters. So while Pit was fighting one of Vridi's commanders, he unknowingly set loose a parasite called the Chaos Kin, who eventually made its way into Palutena and consumed her soul, taking full control of her body. After that, evil Palutena trapped Pit's soul in a ring and has been destroying all of humanity using his lifeless body for the past 3 years. With the help of his friend Magnus, Ring Pit is able to defeat actual Pit and return to his old body. Vridi agrees to help Pit out because she's a tsundere, and the two embark on a mission to steal some unicorns from a dying old man. Using the lightning chariot, Pit is able to break the barrier surrounding Palutena's palace. After beating up evil Palutena, the Chaos Kin escapes with her soul into its home realm. Pit follows it inside, and with the help of Pit 2, they manage to defeat the monster and return Palutena's soul back into her body. However, like every other villain in the series, the Chaos King comes back to life and tries to take Pit 2 down with it. Pit dives down after them and pleads with Vridi to grant him the power of flight, despite already having exceeded the 5-minute flight time. Vridi reluctantly grants his wish, and Pit is able to save Patu, but at the cost of being turned into a bird chicken nugget. Having witnessed his twin's noble sacrifice, Patu puts aside his edginess for the time being and brings Pit's body to a place called the Rewind Spring, where they hope to revert him back to his non-crispy self. Suddenly, Pandora emerges out from Patu's wings and uses the Rewind Spring for herself, turning into, of course, a sexy lady. Unfortunately for Pandora, Patu's heart is too full of angst to be swayed by a woman's charm, and he has no problems destroying her. He dunks Pit into the Rewind Spring, bringing him back to life, and with the 3 sacred treasures equipped, Pit flies down to the underworld for the final battle. Hades appears, and for a while the two seem evenly matched, until Hades straight up vores him. And listen, that's not even me telling jokes or anything, this straight up is what happens. Pit gets digested and has to make his way out of Hades' stomach before he gets turned into a literal piece of shit. Traveling up his intestines, he eventually finds Hades' heart and destroys it, causing an explosion large enough to escape. But apparently, having your most important bodily organ blown to pieces isn't enough to stop the Lord of the Underworld, and our protagonists are forced to find a weapon to surpass the 3 sacred treasures. They visit the God of the Forge and obtain, wait for it, the Great Sacred Treasures, which is pretty much just a Gundam. With the power of God and anime on his side... Shit. With the power of God and anime on his side, Pit does battle with Hades once more, but despite his newfound power, he gets slapped out of the sky like a weak mosquito. Just as Hades is preparing for his final blow, Medusa comes out of nowhere and delivers a meaty uppercut, having grown sick of being used as his puppet. This gives Pit just enough time to power up his cannon and fire a massive laser strong enough to obliterate Hades once and for all. With the evil finally defeated, Pit soars triumphantly over the cheering crowds as Vridi brings up a bunch of moral dilemmas that we don't have time to unpack right now. Patu joins in as the two fly off into the sunset. Credits play. But for real this time. So, will there ever be a new Kid Icarus game? No. Okay, maybe. While it's been nearly 8 years since Uprising's release, Nintendo's president has stated that he's interested in bringing more 3DS franchises onto the Switch. And with the success of series like Fire Emblem and Pokemon having already made the Switch, I won't say it's completely out of the question. I guess all we can really do is wait patiently for Sakurai to finish that Smash DLC. Speaking of which, how's that coming along? Oh god, he's making more of them. We're never getting a new Kid Icarus game. Hey, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, then leave a comment telling me who your favorite Kid Icarus character is. For me, it's probably Hades, Vridi, or Pid. I mean, I like all three of them, but I can't choose between these characters. I don't know. And if you enjoyed the video, I'd super appreciate if you could subscribe and like and whatever else you want to do. So yeah, have a good day. Goodbye.